Okay, so following the events of chapter 78 of the Boruto manga, one of the biggest things that happened that changed the series as a whole is the fact that Kawaki sent Naruto along with Hinata to another dimension in order to quote-unquote save Naruto, which still baffles me. Like, wait a minute, so you removed him from his family, removed him from the entire shinobi world that desperately needs him in order to save him? Like, okay fam, you're bugging out. But nevertheless, Kawaki's intentions is what led to this disastrous event and also led to Naruto being removed from the series. And then when you couple that in with what happened in chapter 79 of Kawaki's wish upon Ada that basically turned the entire Hidden Leaf village and possibly even the shinobi world against Boruto, Naruto's son, it begs to question one major aspect that has been on a lot of fans of the series' mind, and that's that when Naruto inevitably is freed from this ceiling, how will he respond to Kawaki after everything that's went down, considering the fact that Naruto will not be under the spell of Ada that turned everyone else against Boruto. Essentially, Naruto will return in his right state of mind, understanding, wait a minute, no, Boruto Uzumaki is my son, you're just Kawaki. How will Naruto respond to that? And before we continue on with this video, please subscribe to this channel to get more content, and if you would be so kind as to hit that bell, I'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much. And off the gate, one of the biggest things you gotta think to yourself is, okay, well, what type of character has Naruto been shown to be throughout the entirety of the story, from the very start of Naruto all the way through to where we're at right now in the Boruto story? And that's that Naruto is very compassionate. Naruto is so much so compassionate that despite the fact that the story makes you feel like, hey, that's a good thing, ultimately in the real world, most people will look at him like, damn dog, you on some god stuff? Like, how are you that compassionate, fam? Because if you go back into some of the earlier parts of this entire franchise, especially again the Naruto Shippuden aspects, you've seen Naruto be so compassionate to people that have done horrific and horrendous things that has damaged or set his life on a whole different trajectory. He was able to forgive Nagato pain after destroying the entire Hidden Leaf village and potentially at that particular point killing off people like Kakashi and people that he absolutely loved. He was able to forgive Obito, the one that was responsible for the destruction of the Hidden Leaf via summoning Kurama the Nine-Tailed Fox, as well as the untimely demise of his parents, Minato and Kushina. And I mean, even if you fast forward from that part of the story all the way to Boruto, fairly recently, he was even able to still claim that Kawaki was a part of his family, despite the fact that Kawaki had just finished blasting a hole through Boruto, regardless if it was consensual or not. It still makes you think like, wait a minute, so homie killed your son essentially in front of your face and you're still able to say, nah dog, I got love for him, I got love for him. Like, what? Naruto's compassion is something that is still integral to his character and probably won't waver. So you definitely got to account that into how Naruto will respond upon arrival when he ultimately returns from the other dimension and how he's going to face Kawaki. Not to mention that there's something else to keep in mind, the fact that the dimension that he was sent to is essentially a timeless dimension. So in terms of exactly what Naruto is going to look like or how he's going to age, more than likely he won't age, he'll probably look the same. Maybe they might do something a little eccentric like making his hair longer, but in terms of growing, Naruto will probably be very much so the same way that he looks when he gets put into the portal, if not, dare I say it, even more fit if he is training in there, which coincidentally enough will lead for Naruto to be just as young as he is right now in a new series after Boruto, and also avoiding pitfalls like what they did with Dragon Ball GT, wishing Goku to be a young kid again. Coincidence? I think not. But hypothetically speaking, if Naruto was to go over the edge, right? If there was something in this entire story that would push Naruto to basically come out of that time portal and go after Kawaki with nothing but bloodlust, wanting to essentially get his get back, opposed to everything that Naruto has shown to be like, what would it be? Because again, he's forgiven people for some very horrendous things, but I will say, and speaking from personal experience as a parent, the one major thing I could potentially see Kawaki doing that would make even the most patient and compassionate person out there go ballistic would be hurting a father's daughter. Now I know you're probably thinking like, yo, what, so Boruto's chopped liver? Absolutely, you can see that there was pain in Naruto's eyes and he was distraught when Boruto was pierced by Kawaki. The difference is, in that particular factor, Kawaki and Boruto had a consensual agreement to do it, so it was kind of a little bit of a tough spot where it's like, well, Boruto did tell Kawaki, yeah, it's okay to pierce me, and he also understands the rules of the shinobi world, so that was something a little bit where you could throw the argument, okay dog, like come on fam, like, you know what I'm saying, there was an agreement, we could let this one slide, I guess, even though it's still a little bit like, yo dog, that's my son, I don't know what you're doing dog, you shouldn't have done that, I'm gonna get you. But if something happened to Himawari, hypothetically, upon Naruto's return, I could definitely see that being the straw that breaks the camel's back and makes Naruto go absolutely ballistic Because I mean, dog, that's his innocent little daughter, and even though time will progress throughout the series and depending on when Naruto returns, ultimately he is going to remember that my little daughter was essentially harmed if something happens to Himawari during the whole course of the story, from the time that Naruto was sealed up until whenever they inevitably, ideally bring him back into the story. So if Naruto was to be unsealed at a given point and find out that Himawari has been injured, or even worse, maybe her fate is unknown at that particular point, that would be one of the only things I could see that would push Naruto over the edge to be like, no, enough is enough, I'm gonna stop him myself. Because I mean, fam, if somebody hurting your little daughter ain't enough to push you over the edge, then I don't know, dog, nothing will, and you're a little bit on the too soft side. But then also that begs the question as well, that if Naruto was to go and say, yo dog, I'm throwing hands against Kawaki, would he even be able to do it? Because if you just think about it right now, as the story has progressed, Naruto and Sasuke, but especially Naruto, has gotten weaker, while characters like Kawaki and Boruto have been arguably blowing and exploding in powers, in particular due to the whole Karma Mark. Especially once Kawaki was able to obtain the Karma Mark once again, thanks to Amado's interference with the right arm, ultimately Kawaki has advanced immensely in power, especially with Kawaki obtaining the Dojutsu Suku no Hikona. Essentially, yeah, Naruto might actually not be able to get the job done. I mean, it was already mentioned that Naruto and Sasuke are both outclassed to a certain degree by the likes of Code once his limiters are removed, and Kawaki, where he stands right now in the story, prior to Code's limiters being removed, he pretty much knocked Code around like he was nothing. Maybe you could throw the argument that Code without his limiters might be a whole different story, but inevitably you gotta think within the time skip, however long that may be, whether it be 2 to 3 years, Kawaki is going to advance even further, and with the Karma Mark drastically increasing the user's abilities, it's safe to assume that Kawaki will be immensely stronger than he even is now at the time of Naruto returning to the story. And again, going back to the fact that Naruto has been weakened, he no longer has Kurama, he no longer has a lot of those abilities such as healing, and essentially he relies mainly on Sage Mode to get the job done in combat. Naruto, even if he's freed from the seal and is able to go up against Kawaki and is willing to go to combat with Kawaki, he might not be able to withstand Kawaki's abilities and essentially would fall in combat against Kawaki. That is, of course, unless he's training in the other dimension, then that's a whole different ball game altogether, because if he returns from that sealed dimension, if it's timeless, then essentially Naruto could be endlessly training and return with all new capabilities, all new powers, all new jutsus, and Kawaki would also be in trouble. However, it ultimately leads to one major conclusion, and that's the fact that it's Boruto series. The manga is no longer called Naruto, despite the fact that Naruto fans, such as myself, can't really let go of the big guy. Ultimately, one of the things to accept is the fact that Naruto can't be the one to talk no jutsu Kawaki down. Granted, Kawaki might not even be able to be talk no jutsu down, he just seems like he's so far gone. Potentially Naruto's mindset could still be to show compassion to Kawaki and attempt to even give him some sort of hug, but I could imagine that Kawaki being far gone, especially with time removed from him being in the presence of Naruto and the story progressing, Kawaki might actually try to attack Naruto full force, feeling that the ultimate goal is more important than even Naruto taking a whooping by Kawaki. So if Naruto isn't on some combat ready type of action upon arrival, he might actually be in trouble in terms of Kawaki seems to be an anomaly that is just impervious to the idea of talk no jutsu taking him down, at the very least coming from Naruto, because again, it's Boruto series. I wouldn't go as far as to say that Kawaki would permanently end Naruto, simply because at the end of the day his ultimate objective has been and still is at this very point to save and rescue Naruto's life. So I don't think that Naruto's life would be in danger per se, because again, that would go against everything that Kawaki has said up until this point, shown up until this point, and unless something drastically happens between now and the time skip and whenever Naruto is returned to the story, ultimately I think Naruto would be safe from any mortal wounds, but Kawaki still would probably put a whooping on him, especially if again he has time to think about different things and different aspects, and he might just be on some by any means necessary mentality. And that's where a certain amount of character development needs to reside within Naruto upon arrival, again depending on what he's doing in that other dimension. He needs to understand one major splitting factor, because of course you got to imagine that within Naruto's mindset is the fact that Kawaki reminds him potentially of Sasuke and their whole journey that they had throughout Naruto and Naruto Shippuden. However, the difference between Kawaki and Sasuke resides in the fact that Sasuke in his early life had his family. Sasuke grew up for a period of time with a quote-unquote normal life, while Kawaki never knew love up until Naruto. And everything that Kawaki has demonstrated up until this point is that Kawaki might be too far gone for saving. This isn't like when Naruto chased down Sasuke, and while Sasuke would do some very heinous acts, ultimately you knew that there was more to Sasuke in terms of like he might be able to change change regardless of how far it seemed he went. Kawaki definitely comes across as a lot more dangerous, and this would require a lot more character development on Naruto's behalf of, yeah, you might not be able to stop the problem, but you also need to accept the fact that maybe this guy just is one person you can't save, which would ultimately lead to the ending fact that Naruto has to leave this one up to Boruto. He could try, he can attempt to reach Kawaki via feelings, emotions, and dare I say it, talk no jutsu. And unless he tried to make another declaration as he did with Sasuke that if we go, we'll go together, and attempt to do some double unalive type of attack, ultimately I think Naruto is going to have to come to the conclusion that not only is Kawaki too far gone, but Naruto can't be the one to save him, and it needs to be left in Boruto's hands. So it could get dramatic, fights could go down, Naruto could attempt to meet Kawaki and combat emotions and all around as a character and as a person, but he needs to understand that there's only one person that can stop him, and there's only one person that can end all of this madness, and that's his son, Boruto Uzumaki. But please let me know your thoughts on this whole situation. How do you think Naruto will respond to Kawaki when he is ultimately unsealed, and what will his resolve be in the end in terms of how to combat Kawaki and disarm him from ultimately his goal of, by any means necessary, rescuing Naruto, even if it means turning the whole world against his own damn son? Like, Kawaki, what are you doing? Have an awesome day. Please subscribe and hit that bell for more videos.